So I shipped my entire game collection from Sweden to Japan. 4 months later, it finally arrived. The big question is, did anything break? I'll admit, I was seriously worried about this shipment. These boxes spent 4 months traveling from Sweden to Japan. And right here is one of the items I was worried about. My Virtual Boy in its original box. Thankfully, it looks great. And underneath that is my FrameMeister, which I use to connect my retro consoles to a modern television. Next is my gold Nintendo 64. The original box still looks clean and a quick inspection shows no visible damage. Of course, I'll still need to plug it in later to make sure it actually works. The next section contains all of my mini consoles in their original boxes. I also use smaller boxes inside the larger shipping boxes to stop the games from moving around. Inside this one is my one-chip Super Famicom, along with several NES games, including Werewolf the Last Warrior, Deja Vu, The Guardian Legend, and my own childhood copy of Super Mario Bros. And finally, my NES with an NES RGB mod. No cracks, no crushed corners, and no obvious damage so far. But the consoles were only part of the risk. The cartridges and controllers were also exposed to moisture for 4 months at sea. This box contains my Zapper and NES controllers, while the cartridges were sealed inside PCI bags to help prevent rust. In the next box are my Nintendo 64 controllers, Wii remotes, N64 EverDrive, and my Wii with its external hard drive. My Selected 21 SCART switcher is also here. Then we have my Zelda manga and novels, my gaming magazines from the 1990s, and the Nintendo cases I use to store my NES cartridges. Everything is still completely dry. Now we're getting to the boxes that worried me the most, the ones packed almost entirely with games. The top layer has Nintendo 64 games and several larger boxed titles. I filled this empty space with Super Famicom and Nintendo 64 games, so nothing could slide around. Inside the smaller containers are my PlayStation, Virtual Boy, and Game Boy games. These boxes are filled with Super Famicom titles, including Kirby no Kira Kira Kids and Reverse Kids. Underneath them are all of my boxed Famicom games. And in another container is my Famicom Disk System collection. At this point, I was expecting to find at least one crushed box, but somehow everything still looks exactly as I packed it. A big reason for that is the way these boxes were prepared. They're industrial shipping boxes designed for international transport. Everything inside was placed in VCI bags to help prevent rust, and I added silica gel cushions to absorb moisture. The moment I opened these boxes, there was no damp or moldy smell at all. After 4 months at sea, that's a huge relief. For this box, I used my Nintendo plushies and cushions as extra protection. Here's my Superstar popcorn bucket and Fire Flower drink bottle from Super Nintendo World. My Super Mario Bros. NES game storage case from the late 1980s is also still in great condition. Then there's all the merchandise I bought at the Nintendo Museum. Mugs, pens, pins, shirts, and more Super Nintendo World items. Nothing is broken. Now we're down to the final game boxes. This one contains my Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 games. These boxes are packed with PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games. And finally, my PlayStation 4 and remaining PlayStation 5 games. Every case is intact. There isn't a single visible crack, broken hinge, or scratched disc case. After 4 months at sea, my entire game collection appears to have survived. So now for the other big question, how much did all of this actually cost? Shipping everything from Sweden to Japan cost 439,000 yen, including insurance, but that wasn't the final bill. Japanese customs selected my shipment for an X-ray inspection, which added another 46,000 yen. And because I live on the 3rd floor without an elevator, I also had to pay 10,000 yen to carry everything upstairs. That brought the grand total to 495,000 yen. It definitely wasn't cheap, but seeing everything arrive without serious damage made it worth it. I'm honestly feeling a huge sense of relief. More than 400 games, 10 consoles, over 20 controllers, and years of collecting all made it safely to Japan. And after surviving 4 months at sea, I think this collection has earned a permanent home.